So I've talked a lot lately about how good condo market is right now from a buyer's perspective. So there's lots of opportunities out there, but I think it's time I showed you how good of a market it is and what kinds of opportunities have presented themselves over the past little bit. So similar to a previous video that I did about houses, I'm going to share with you what you can get for $750,000 in the condo market in major condo pockets around the city. So what's going to be a little bit different about this video compared to the last one is that I'm going to share with you what I think are the best condos that have sold in the past little bit in those pockets in that price range. So I'm looking at $740,000 to $760,000. And so I'll share with you what I think are the criteria that kind of make certain sales the best ones in those pockets. Okay, so let's start with downtown, because why not? So if we look at, let me get rid of those schools there for a second. If we look at downtown, and I just kind of tried to encompass not the entirety of downtown. It certainly depends on your definition of downtown, but I didn't include the Lower West Side because I'm going to do that in a separate portion of this video. So I tried to encapsulate like what was like prime core downtown. Looking at all sales between 740 and 760,000 between September 1st and now being December 18th, 2025. 22 sales, not a lot in terms of, that's sort of part of the issue with the condo market is that, people are not buying condos in droves, even though I think there are lots of great opportunities out there. Here are the ones that I think out of these 22 are pretty good deals for that price range. So I'm going to start here. 39 Queens Quay East. You can see it highlight in the red there when I hover over. So I go off of it, look on the map, you'll see it kind of pop up in red. I really like the location in terms of proximity to water. And if you can get in a place that's got great water view, then even better. For $750,000, you're looking at, for this one, it's a 1+ den, 1 bathroom with 1 car parking. And it is in the 600 square foot range. There are going to be other ones that are going to provide different amount of value or different kinds of value. So bear in mind that I'm just kind of going through a couple of examples in each pocket. And what will be another interesting thing for you is to see, okay, well, this is what 750 or between 740 and 760 gets me downtown. Here's what it gets me in Midtown. Here's what it gets me in like North Toronto. Here's what it gets me in, Leslieville or Riverdale. Here's what it gets me in Liberty Village. Just as an example. So we'll be able to make those comparisons. But just quickly going through the photos, kitchen looks like it's in good shape. There's some like relatively new flooring. You can see that the view immediately out the living room window is not awesome. It's to a neighboring building. But the place looks in good shape. High ceilings. Looks like there's a decent amount of light coming in, even with the neighboring building kind of blocking. The unit's in great shape. I don't love walking in the front door and into the kitchen, but this is a building that I like, and I really like the location. So that's why I put this one on my list. Next one I want to highlight from the downtown sales is this one right here. So 109 Front Street East. So again, look at the map. I'll hover over it. You can see where it pops up. I really like the St. Lawrence Market area, and this is right on the edge, right on the corner, right in the heart, I guess, of the St. Lawrence area. This is almost across the street from where the St. Lawrence Market is. This is a little bit of an older building, so probably my only gripe would be that the maintenance fees are a touch high, but it's an older building, and so it sort of makes sense that the fees have gotten to that place. So you're looking at a place that's in the 900 square foot range, and the fees are $920, almost $921. Now, the fees do include hydro. So like when fees are at or slightly above $1 square foot, but they include all your utilities, I don't mind that so much. Of course, water and heat as well. And then the unit itself, it's a 2-bed plus den, 2 bathrooms with parking, again in the 900 square foot range. So lots of value there for $740,000 in my opinion. And if I show you a couple of pictures of the interior, and this is a sale again, so this one is not available anymore, but when I scroll back, that's a good living room setup. So you've got, good wall for a couch, good wall for a TV. You've got space, like a little nook for a small dining table over on the edge. The bedrooms are a good size. This one's got a walkout to a balcony, which is nice. This would be the den, so it's a little bit of like a solarium, I guess. Looks like it's virtually staged, which is fine. And then, bathrooms, a little bit dated. You can see that there's carpet in this one bedroom. That's what I'm talking about. This building is a little bit older, but I do think that, for $740,000, this is a lot of space. It's 2 bedrooms and a den. The primary bedroom is a really good size. It's got storage. It's got an ensuite bathroom. So there's a lot of value here. That makes it another one of my favorites for downtown. And the last one I'm going to share with you is 8 Charlotte. So there it is there. You can see it highlighted in red. I really like the location. This building is is great. It is in a very desirable location. Now, this is another one where it's kind of similar to Queen's Quay in terms of what you're paying. So $740,000. It's not a 2-bed or a 2-bed plus den, and it's in the 700 square foot range. So you can see how age has an impact. At the Front Street building, you're getting 900 and something square feet for 740. This one is 700 and something square feet. Queen's Quay was 600 and something square feet. But you are still getting parking. Similar to Front Street, again, a gripe that I have is that the fees are high in this building, but it's starting to become a factor for a lot of buildings everywhere. Maintenance fees are $841 roughly for something that's in the 700 to 799 square foot range. Does come with parking and a locker. 8 Charlotte is a relatively modern building, and I think this person had done some updates as well. So just my taste might not be yours, but I thought the kitchen was very nicely renovated. The floors were nicely renovated. You've got high ceilings in this building as well. Those are 9-foot ceilings. They did nice pendant lighting over the island. Good use of space. So for me, this is really good value at $740,000 and kind of rounds out the favorites for me for the downtown places. So next we're going to travel east a little bit and go to South Riverdale / edge of Leslieville. So there's some good condos that I like in those pockets. It's not a very condo dense area. And there's 2 of these 3 that I really like. Now, that doesn't mean that I want to poo-poo necessarily this one here at 11 Francis Loring Lane. I don't love that location. I find it maybe just a little bit kind of rough around the edges to a degree, but you can get pretty good value in terms of space. So this 11 Francis Loring Lane is a townhouse. It's 2-bed, 2-bath in the 800 square foot range for just a little under $760. So, if you need space and bedrooms and you want it to have multiple levels, like some separation from your living space and your bedrooms and bathrooms, then, that's not a bad setup at all. But there's 2 buildings. One building that I like for sure, which is 90 Broadview. So you can see it highlighted in red there. It's Broadview south of Queen, between Queen and Eastern on the west side of Broadview. It's a really great building. It's a soft loft building. It's not huge. So similar to the downtown ones, for $740,000, you're getting a 1+1 bath with parking in the 700 square foot range. The fees are going to be much better. So we scroll down, look at the fees. They're 600 and let's call them 631 for the square foot range, which is really good. And then what is included? Heat, water, parking, and the usuals, but not hydro. So, okay, fair enough. They're still well under $1 a square foot. And when we take a look inside, it's a very functional layout. You've got space for a dining table. You've got a pretty good kind of couch and TV setup. Now, there's no balconies, or there's no balcony for this unit in particular. There are some units in this building that have balconies, but they're actually on a separate level of the building. You have to go up to a different level, and then you have private terraces and stuff like that. But for someone who's like, well, I don't have to have a balcony, I don't spend any time out there, 90 Broadview is an excellent building, and this is a very functional, stylish layout. Now, another building that I have heard mixed reviews about, but in my opinion, this sale is an example of really, really good value. This unit right here is at 326 Carlaw. It's the iZone live work lofts. You can see that it's at Dundas and Carlaw there. This is an example, it's almost 1,200 square feet, 1,168 square feet for $760,000. Now, it's only a 1-bed, 1-bath. It's a loft, so that's relatively common, especially when they're split up on 2 levels, that you're not going to have a bunch of bedrooms and stuff like that. But it's a nice loft style 1-bed, 1-bath with parking and lots of square foot. You've got multi-level, which is a bit of a unique kind of layout for the city. There's not a ton of 2 levels in the city. And the fees, again, for the square footage, I would say is very reasonable. So $894. That's high on a per month basis, but low on a per square foot basis. So you gotta, pick your poison, I guess. It's in a great location. And then when you look at the unit, there's not a lot of windows, so it's going to be a little bit dark, but you've got a good living room layout here, nice and cozy. You're going to have high ceilings. You're going to have loft-like features, exposed beams, exposed pipes, those kinds of things. The kitchen is a little bit dated. It needs a little bit of, maybe updating or modernization. There's some good build-ins. And again, I like the separation between the upper and the lower. And you've got living room, kitchen, dining room, lots of storage. So there's plenty of good things about this place as well. Okay, next, let's move to South Etobicoke. So closer to the water, there was 2 that came up that I wanted to share with you because they're both townhouses. So to get townhouses with a lot of bedrooms and a lot of space for under $760,000, I would say just in and itself is pretty good value. Now, there's one that I like more than the other. So I like the one on Lakeshore Boulevard West a little bit more than the one that's sold in William Jackson Way, even though I don't love being right on Lakeshore. But the thing about this one at William Jackson Way, I'm going to pull up the floor plans here. First of all, when you walk in, so this is the outside here, you walk up some stairs to your porch, you walk in the front door, and it's just basically a small foyer that's big enough to allow the door to open, and then you have to go up a set of stairs to get to the first kind of main level. When you get at the top of those stairs right here, the closet is kind of around the corner. The other thing is that you've got this, I would say, relatively small living room because one of the 3 bedrooms is on that level. That to me is a little strange, to have a bedroom immediately on the other side of the living room when you've got multi-level living. I know it's obviously very common in like 1-level condos, so maybe that's just kind of my hang up, but I don't love the like having a bedroom where everything else is when you've got other bedrooms in other parts of the condo. The other thing I would say is that when you look at these floor plans, bedroom 2, you can see right here the dimensions, 8'2" by 7'3". That's a very small bedroom. So I don't love this layout. That's why I wanted to more focus on this one, 3580 Lakeshore West, Unit 14. It's in the 12 to 1400 square foot range. I think it was closer to 1400 square feet. Maintenance fees, very reasonable for townhomes usually because there's no amenities. 300 and let's call it 82 square feet. But it was a 2-bed, 3-bath. And because it's only 2-bed, it's just a little bit more nicely laid out. Again, don't love being on Lakeshore necessarily, but really good kind of living, dining, kitchen layout. Bedroom sizes are more reasonable, even though there's only 2. They're all on the same level, and you get a rooftop patio as well. This one for me, out of the 2 in that area, was the better of the 2. Again, I really like that value, $758,000 for that amount of square footage. Tough to find in the city for sure. Okay, I'm going to make a shift to, I guess what I'll call the lower west side, because it's Liberty Village and a little bit of King West, but not prime King West, like West King West. Not trying to be like New York, calling it lower west side or whatever, but just to encompass that kind of whole area of downtown. And there were a couple that I really like. So in Liberty Village, 5 Hannah to me is a pretty good building. And this is a fairly traditional layout, but it's just very functional. So for $745,000, it's a 1+1, 1 bath, 1 parking in the 700 square foot range. I like the maintenance fees. They're $567. So that's really good on a price per square foot basis. This one in particular was a penthouse unit and had, I think, like 11-foot ceilings. They looked quite high. I think I saw in the comments that they were 11-foot ceilings. That to me, it's going to make the place feel that much more spacious. And you can see that they've done some updates. So the flooring looks relatively new, and they've got some little bit of an updated kitchen. You've got a great living couch TV setup, sorry, is what I'm trying to say, and still room for a dining table and a pretty functional kitchen with lots of counter space as well, which I know a lot of people are looking for these days. So they had set up the den as a bit of like a walk-in closet with storage and stuff, but this to me is really good value. And then the other one that I wanted to point out in this area is in a building that I really enjoy. It's at the Bohemian, which is on Queen Street, 1171 Queen Street West. It's like Queen and Dufferin. It's on the south side of Queen. These ones, depending on which way they face, can have really great views. You're looking for like west or southwest views from this building, and you're gonna like clear the train tracks and kind of look towards Humber Bay Shores and towards kind of, you know, South Mississauga and all that kind of stuff, maybe all the way to Hamilton on a nice clear day. This one sold for $755,000. It is a 2-bed, 1 bath with parking in the 700 square foot range. Fees are very reasonable at $709. You know, relatively traditional layout, but you've got couch, TV wall is going to be on the back of here. You've got a little nook for a dining table. You're going to have a kitchen with a peninsula there, so you've got plenty of counter space. And then the bedrooms, not a split plan, so one bedroom is right off of this the back of the living room, and then another bedroom is kind of like just an offshoot there. I'll show you floor plans in a second, but this unit is a corner unit, so you're gonna have windows in both your bedrooms and then lots of windows also in the living room as well. So you can see that the primary bedroom and the secondary bedroom are both on that left side, so not a split plan, but at least both bedrooms have windows, and this primary bedroom in particular has tons of windows because it's on the corner. I had a client who actually didn't like that a bedroom was on a corner because they wanted more of the windows and the light to be like in the living space. But still, if you're the type of person who, maybe you're an early riser and you like lots of light in your bedroom or whatever, this would be a great place. Okay, next I'm going to switch to, I guess what I'd call Willowdale. So this is kind of like Yonge and the 401 all the way up to Yonge and Finch. So Yonge and Shepherd, Yonge and Finch, everything in between. And there were 14 sales, a couple of them that I really liked. One was here at 88 Shepherd Avenue East. So this is basically Yonge and Shepherd, although just a little bit east of Yonge. And what I really liked about this one is that it was a corner unit, and you can see that all of the windows are floor to ceiling, which is fantastic. This place is going to be ridiculously bright. So for those of you who really like natural light, probably can't be beat at a place like this. And the views were really lovely. I don't love the kitchen. So the kitchen is quite small. There's limited counter space. Where that dining table is, you could maybe put an island instead to kind of double as a dining area and more counter space. That's probably what I would do if I were living there. But it's a good kind of couch and TV setup area, good living room. Like I said, nice and bright. And you're getting 2-bed, 2-bath, and parking, all in the 800 square foot range with pretty reasonable fees, $680, let's call them $9, $689 a month, all for $753,000. So really good value there at Yonge and Shepherd. The second one that I liked is on 31 Bales. It's also kind of Yonge and Shepherd, just south of Shepherd on the east side of Yonge. It is a 2-bed, 2-bath with parking in the 900 square foot range, sold for $748,000 fairly recently. The fees are a touch high, but still under $1 square foot, $846 a month. And again, this one was a corner unit, pretty good layout in terms of functionality. The kitchen was a really good size. Not really, it depends on how you set up the living room. Not really a ton of space for dining, but the peninsula was long enough that you could kind of get 3 or 4 stools across and eat there. So that was something that I don't mind. It was nice and bright. I like the location, and again, from a value standpoint, in terms of what you get on a per square foot basis, I thought this was one of the better ones out of those 14 sales that happened. Second last area I'm going to cover is Midtown. So most of the condo sales, if not almost all of them, happen around Yonge and Eglinton. There were not any that happened in Davisville just at that time. I had 2 that I thought were pretty good. One was sort of on the cusp. I thought this 88 Broadway Avenue one was pretty good value, $760,000 for something that's in a 900 square foot range. One gripe that I have, I used to live in that building. We used to own in that building, so I'm very familiar with it. Maintenance fees are too high for me on a per square foot basis. It is a well-run building. They have a very healthy reserve fund, but the fees are just already too high and are just going to continue to get higher from here. So that's what kind of has me keeping it off the list for this one in particular. But here's one that I really like. This is on 2 Edith, which is just west of Yonge, just north of Eglinton. It was a 2-bed, 2-bath with 1-car parking, a big one, over 1,000 square feet. I think it was 1,117 square feet, sold for $760,000. Now this is an older building, and the fees are not low necessarily. So, I had it backwards. I apologize. This was about just a little over 1,000 square feet for maintenance fees of $1,100 and let's call them $18. But they do include your hydro. So that for me kind of makes the value a bit better in terms of what you're paying with maintenance fees. And what I liked about this one is it's big. 1,000 square foot. You got 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and I liked the layout as well. You had a kitchen that was like a separated kitchen with the peninsula, lots of storage. You had a separate dining area. You had a good kind of living room here where you had a pretty good couch and TV setup, and then 2 good sized bedrooms. And again, I just really like the location of that one as well. It's close to Yonge and Eglinton, but just set back a little bit. So that was another standout for me in Midtown. Last but not least, Yorkville. So this is just kind of right in between downtown and Midtown. There were 2 for me that I liked. One is 32 Davenport Road. So this is kind of right at Yonge and Church-ish, but obviously on Davenport, on the west side of Yonge. This is a very popular building. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath. It's in the 700 square foot range. I don't love to see 2 bedrooms kind of smushed into under 800 square feet, but it can work sometimes. Sold for $745,000. The fees are reasonable. They're about $1 a square foot at $792. They do not include hydro, so I don't love the fees, but again, I could say that for a lot of buildings. So, it is what it is. Again, it's a very popular building. It's pretty stylish. And so I wasn't surprised to see it sell relatively quickly once they got to the right price. So there's a good kind of kitchen layout. You've got a decent amount of space for your living room. And then again, I really like places that have complete floor to ceiling windows. The light is going to be great. Even in places that face north, you'll get pretty good light in places that have floor to ceiling windows. The bedrooms were both a good size. And again, to get 2 bedrooms, even if the second bedroom is kind of one of these interior ones, you can see that's that second bedroom right there in the middle of the place. To get 2 bedrooms for under $750,000 in Toronto is not easy to find. So that's one big reason why I like that one in that location. And then for the last one in the Yorkville area, it's 1 Bedford, unit 819. So it's sold for $748,000. It's a 1 bed plus den, 1 bath with parking. Now it's a bit on the small side. It's 600 to 699 square feet. Maintenance fees are $730. So again, I don't love the ratio between fees and square feet, but this building traditionally is very sought after. It's probably fairly prestigious address, if you will, right? So, I mean, even I didn't notice, but they even used that word, prestigious, right there. You can see it. So it's certainly a place that people want to be. $748,000 for a 600 and something square feet. Typically this building has sold for a much higher price per square foot. So, if you're looking to get into Yorkville and that is a pretty desirable address, that's why I kind of chose that one. It doesn't necessarily fit my own personal criteria for value, but I do know that some people are going to be watching this and saying, will say to themselves, that's an address that I would want to be at. I like that location a lot. And I know from previous years that places like this have sold much, much higher. So that's why I would choose that one as, pretty good value for that location in the city. If you're looking at moving to Toronto or moving within Toronto, definitely will want to subscribe to the channel just to make sure that you check out all the content that I put out there that's going to help you make better educated decisions about your real estate needs.